So, PARKOUR Reborn has just released their 1.1 update, in which a new glove gear and new grappler modification have been added, as well as a whole new refurnished building. However, these items and new building definitely seem to help unveil the story to the whole game, which is what's going to be talked about. This video is going to cover all the current information we have within the game, including the gears, districts, the city itself, who us the players are, and all the notable buildings, as well as the new content added in 1.1. So, starting off with the new Grappler Variant, the Yank Grappler. You need 2 extra parts to upgrade it, the override module and 1 extra fitting. Along with these, you need the normal Grappler as well. And although we don't know who, someone is definitely spreading these parts around the city of Verna, which is where PARKOUR Reborn takes place. Although we don't know who is spreading the parts around the separate districts, we do at least have speculations of who could be making these parts. Some of the buildings in Derwick, the only other district in the game at the time of recording, could allude to which company could be manufacturing these grappling hook parts. My theory is that PRK Tech, which has a building in Derwick and where some of the grappling parts are found themselves, are being researched at PRK Tech and are being manufactured at the Airflow building also in Derwick. But someone definitely has to be stealing these parts and hiding them around Verna, as I've said before, but we just don't know who. My speculation for this is maybe a runner in disguise who works at PRK Tech who steals and distributes these parts around the city. So notice how I mentioned runners just now, which are definitely us, the players. Even though we know we are runners, we don't know exactly their purpose. It could be to climb high buildings for fun. Maybe we could be sending messages, giving the people aid, like the runners that are depicted in the Mirror's Edge series games, freeing people from the tyranny or government of Verna. We could be stealing documents from the buildings we find around, and just so much more. Take a Vertigo, for example, which was finally refurnished in this 1.1 update. Definitely seems to be some sort of workplace combined with storage warehouse, considering the multiple giant storage rooms we see throughout the climb. You also see a giant server room, leading to my next point. These servers in this server room may be used to store all the data for transceivers around Verna. So, on the topic of the transceivers and spawn regions, a new feature also added in 1.1, which is respawn signal strength. And basically how it works is when you die, your transceiver signal strength will dwindle. And after dying a certain amount of times, you respawn back at the last sync point that you synced with. And getting to a new sync point will refresh your signal. And stay with me here because this might sound a little weird, but I think there's a possibility that the players have some sort of chip inside them or something that rewinds them when they die. Maybe the reason you go back to a sync point after dying too many times is that Vertigo servers in the server room can't keep refreshing your data, and that sync points are like their own miniature transceivers, so that they can hold smaller amounts of data for one or the few players' chips. But how does this correlate to the feature that when you get a new sync point, it refreshes your signal strength? I think the sync points could send the player's data to a transceiver, which would send that information to a server room near that transceiver. So like the one on top of Vertigo, it would be sent to Vertigo's server room and stuff like that. Now that I've cleared that up, I want to talk about who this government chasing us or the runners or something actually is. Now, we've heard in the trailer for Reborn's alpha release that there's an organization or something called the CPD saying that they have made increased efforts to catch runners around Verna, which I'll play the clip for right here.
More runners have been spotted in the city of Verna, in Derwick and downtown. Please be careful on the rooftops of the region. In other news, the CPD has issued a report stating they are making continued efforts to find...
So, it just sort of cuts off at the end. Now we know that there is a CPD and there's something trying to catch us, then we definitely must be doing something to defy the government. Like I stated before, as in who we are. We might be like runners or couriers and stuff like seen in the Mirror's Edge games, which this game is very heavily inspired by. But since we don't have much information on the CPD yet, I'm gonna leave that for another time. But something we do, however, have information on is the districts. So let's talk about what they are and their descriptions and what they are, basically. First off, what the districts are. Verna seems to be split into these 10 districts, which go by the names of Downtown, Derwick, The Mare, Skyark, Fragment, Stack, Asylum, Axiom, Vertex, and Citra, respectively. At the time of recording and writing this script, only the 2 districts in the game are Downtown and Derwick. Downtown being the district you first start the game in, having the tutorial. Other notable buildings in Downtown include Apollo, Vertical, and the GL Tower, which I don't really know much on. But knowing that downtown is the district you start in, it is a confident guess that this is the very heart of Verna, housing most civilians who live in Verna, which could most likely be where the middle or working class people live. In the wiki description for downtown, it is described as an urban-inspired cityscape made to capture the essence of parkour, with its dynamic playground-like environment and various challenges. Derwick, the only other released district at this time, has quite a different atmosphere compared to downtown, with the wiki page stating that Derwick is dominated by large buildings and sites and is unique due to its futuristic atmosphere. Derwick also houses the third largest tower in the game currently, which the community has dubbed Artemis. Derwick also houses the PRK Tech Building and Derwick Construction, which are two crucial places for getting Grappler. Now let's briefly go over the unreleased districts and what we know about them. A user on the fandom who commented the PARKOUR Reborn wiki page on districts, who goes by the name Oxyrity, I hope I pronounced that right, who says all of the current information we have on the districts. So starting off with the unreleased districts, we have Fragment, which is right next to downtown and seems to be mostly residential buildings and looks bland currently. Next is the Mirror, which has a district heavily inspired by Mirror's Edge Catalyst with lots of blue neon lights and a futuristic city design. Skyark is described as an upper-class residential high-rise with densely packed together buildings, and there's plenty of green with plants and trees. And next up we have Vertex, which isn't actually a district, but currently the tallest tower in the game, and according to the wiki, stands at a staggering 3,000 feet or 900 meters, and is a superstructure created to showcase human ingenuity, saying it is impossible to climb from the outside, so inside reversal is required. Axiom, which is another unreleased district, has the description of a rich class district with gorgeous natural environments, drawing inspiration from Japanese architecture. It is also described as the most difficult district due to its minimal interconnectivity. And currently all we know about Citra is that it has more of an orangish theme, and it's the least known district. The Asylum is a secret quote-unquote district under Derwick that runners are supposed to traverse with a tool called the Arc Lantern, which is an unreleased gear that I'll get more onto later in another video. Finally, last but not least, we have Stack, which is an industrial-looking district filled with rust, chimneys, and pipes. And it's just also decorated with neon lights, said to be. You can also see this in a video from the alpha trailer, or a clip from the alpha trailer, which I'll put right up here. And that's pretty much all the information we have on the districts and the whole game currently. Even though there's still so much to cover, I can't do it all in this video, so as soon as more information is released, I'll make a follow-up video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.